Welcome, Donnell here with the Embodied Oracle Show. So excited to be with you today on this beautiful Wednesday where I am preparing to leave tonight to go to Tulum. So I thought, what better topic to share with you guys but how to activate prosperity. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. One of my favorite topics because I feel like one of the big things that I love to work on and teach about is how to live like a really luxe, rich life. And there's so many people that want that, right? There's a lot of talk about that. You see so much on the on social media about look at what I'm doing and look at my life and and it's all this stuff. But what is it? What is it really behind the scenes? And because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. And so is prosperity about what you have, or is it more about who you are? So I want to get into that today. But first, I want to just share with you what prosperity is. Prosperity is being successful or thriving. That's the dictionary meaning of it. And for a lot of us, it's some far off thing in our head. It's like, okay, if I have this thing, then I'm prosperous. So I want you to think about, how are you defining your success in your life right now? And as somebody who myself works on coaching women to be the most impactful soul embodied leaders, I believe that we can have it all. I believe that when you have soul alignment and you're connected to, source, the world is your oyster. I don't think God plays small. I think that everything is available to you. And so first and foremost, really just, what is your definition of success? What do you base that upon? For me, prosperity is my birthright, just as it is yours. And I want to talk about where I'm at in my life right now. And I want to give you an example of prosperity. So for me, I feel very rich right now. And it's not because I'm making $1 million right now. I will be at some point, but that's not what this is about. I feel prosperous and rich because I have so many amazing relationships in my life. I have incredible daughters. I have the ability to travel. Like I said, I'm going to Tulum tonight, taking my daughters and meeting my boyfriend and his son out there. We're going to have this family trip. I live in a beautiful city. Right now I'm living in San Diego. I have life by design. I mean, if I want to go sit at a coffee shop all morning and then see clients or do whatever, like I get to I co-create my life. That is so prosperous for me. I can go work out, do whatever I want. So to me, I'm very rich because I have this lifestyle that feeds my soul and like nurtures me on the deepest level. In order to get to this prosperity, I had to change a lot. I had to let go of some of the belief systems that I had that were not in alignment with being prosperous. So for me, for instance, in the past, that was working in corporate America. And, if you know anything about me, I used to work in pharmaceuticals, sales. I did that for my 30s. And then I was in title. Like I did all these sales jobs before. And they were super fun. I loved them. And it wasn't in the highest alignment for me. So from a paycheck standpoint, I was prosperous. When I was in pharmaceutical sales, I was very, very prosperous. Some of my bonus checks were as much as people were making in an entire year. I mean, it was ridiculous. I traveled all over the United States. I had all these things. It was amazing. But at that time in my life, when I was in my early 30s, I owned 3 properties. I was traveling all over. I'd gone to Spain for a honeymoon and I had just paid for a wedding where I literally was just kind of like, how much do I need to make to pay for this wedding? And at the time, everybody has different ideas of what weddings cost. But for me, I think it was like 20 grand at the time. And I made the $20,000 and I, did that. And it was no big thing. And then I was going with my then husband at the time to go to Spain for a couple weeks, and then we had a trip to Hawaii that was for his company, and then I was traveling to Vegas. I mean, I was all over the place doing all sorts of things. I was wildly financially prosperous, but I wasn't prosperous in my heart. So I think the first thing to really get clear upon is that prosperity of the heart and the soul opens you up for everything. And what do I mean by that? That means that when you are clear about what you want. So when I teach a lot, I teach futuring, and I'm actually going to be teaching a futuring course in August. And if you're interested in learning more about it, let me know. Just message me. But in futuring, or even it's all about quantum physics, and it's all about getting the future that you desire. And one of the ways to get the future that you desire is to be clear about what you want. So that's why I'm asking you, what is success and prosperity to you? One of the things that I want, that I'm working on right now, is that I really see myself living a lifestyle where I work, and then in the summers, I take about a month off, and I take my whole entire family, and we go hang out in a villa in Italy, or we get a condo or something in Spain. And, my kids get to get immersed in the culture and all these different things. And I've been dreaming it. I see it. Obviously, I have to be at a certain income level to do that. I already have the business model in place where I can. I have a partner that's an entrepreneur as well, so we can do this together. Like the pieces are falling into place. It hasn't happened just yet, but I can taste it. I can feel it. I can see it. I know what it feels like in my body to have that thing. And this is the key about prosperity, is its energy. If you wait until you have something in order to be prosperous, it could take you a really long time to get there. I like to quantum leap. And so from a quantum physics perspective, if I were to write down on paper, I am making this much money per year and able to take at least a month off and take my entire family to go stay in a villa in Europe every summer and just have an incredibly relaxing vacation and time and hang out with my best friend who lives in Florence, whatever. And if I start to really feel into that, it is so prosperous feeling to me. And then I ask myself, what is the most embodied feeling that's associated with that? Because you're going to learn the hack to getting everything you want in this reality is to know how you want to feel and to be able to future it. This is what I teach in my futuring program. And so you really tune into that feeling. So for me, I think when I first started tuning into it, it was like, I have freedom. I can go do whatever I want. And then I was like, I feel joy. I feel alive. I feel passionate. And I can't remember the exact thing that I landed on, but I think it was something like really in my body, like embodied. Like I feel alive and connected. Because when I go stay in foreign countries, I'm moving my life forward always, because there's a version of me that's never experienced that place that comes alive. And it feels like, like some people like to go back to places they know. I like to go to places I've never been and like really like immerse myself because new parts of me are activated. So when I feel into that, it's like this really embodied, luxurious feeling. So that is what I'm reaching for in my prosperity. Because if I can get into that embodied feeling, let's say the words embodied or joy. If I start to vibrate and be in the energy of joy every single day, guess what happens? Not because I already have that, by the way, but because I know that joy is the feeling, and then I will, I already have the belief and the thing that I'm seeing in my head of like this visual. I know that if I focus on that eventually the future is going to come meet me there, right? So it's the feeling coupled with that belief that creates this coherent sinus wave that goes out into the quantum field and then brings you back the most highly aligned timeline. So prosperity is not something that's outside of you. That is the misconception. You already are prosperity. It's just that maybe you haven't activated that, because too many people, by the way, want to have prosperity, but they act poor. And what do I mean by like they're always fighting for their limitations. I can't have this. I can't do this. I can't invest in the coach. I can't go on this vacation. I can't this. And I'm not saying that we always have the means to do everything, but if you are always in the energy of I can't, and you're already squashing what you want to be doing because you don't think you can have it, then you are fighting for your limitation. You are in poverty consciousness. You are in lack. You're in lack. And lack is a feeling. It's a very tangible feeling, or it's like a constricted feeling in the body. It's a feeling of just that you don't have the resources to do something. So, you know, I talk to a lot of people. So going back to my story of when I was in my 30s and I had all these things on paper that like by definition would make somebody prosperous, but I didn't feel it because it wasn't in soul alignment. There was a lack mentality that I was working from at that time in my life, because there was a story that I had to work at these type of jobs in order to make the kind of money that I was making. That's lack. I was fighting and keeping limitations in my life, like not letting myself go past the glass ceiling because I only believed that I could have so much. I had to rewire my belief systems in order to understand that I could be just as prosperous doing what I love. Having a business based on my soul alignment, and then eventually leading other women to the same exact thing. So whether it's the job or the relationship or the whatever it is that's keeping you in lack and limitation, stop lying to yourself about it. Be honest with yourself, because you can only make changes when you start to identify the areas of your life where you're playing in that vibration. So just think about, like, where are you feeling like I can't have better than this? Because then you're fighting for poverty consciousness versus prosperity consciousness. The antidote, for instance, to when I was in my former reality and I was living in that space of thinking that I couldn't have better, you know, I couldn't make that kind of money. And by the way, I make more money than I ever have than when I was in corporate America. But I had to rewire from the inside out. I had to start feeling gratitude and start to feel really amazing about what was possible for me, and move away from the lack. And then, so the antidote to that is faith. You have to have faith that you're able to have the things that you desire and that you want. And it goes back to, like, what is prosperity for you? What is that thing that is going to make you feel wildly successful? How do you want to feel? So I want to share with you, because everything's energy, right? Money is energy. And if you haven't figured that piece out yet, I mean, think about even when you go to pay for something. I remember sometimes when I was first an entrepreneur and I would go pay for, you know, groceries or something, and let's just say I was like, where's my, because as an entrepreneur, even to this day, I'm really good at planning my business and all that kind of stuff, but I don't always know how much I'm going to have every month per se, because I don't have a paycheck like a person that's in corporate America. But I remember when I first started my business back in 2013, I would play this game with myself. And if I didn't have a ton of money in my bank account and I go to pay for, like, let's say my groceries at Trader Joe's, I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, that sense of like, oh, can I do this? Like, ugh, like a constricting energy. And I started to change that, even down to like, oh, I shouldn't buy this because, you know, I don't know if I can, that's for when I have more money. That's a bunch of bullshit. Honestly, that just is a lack mentality. So what I would do is I get the things that I really wanted, because I'm a yes to myself. I'm yes, I trust the universe. I have faith that the universe is going to provide for me abundantly. And then I would practice the law of circulation. Like, I wanted my money to be in circulation. I want to be grateful for what I'm spending. Thank you, God. Thank you, me, for having the ability to pay for these groceries right now. And sometimes I even like up the ante and be like, I'm paying for this. I'm going to get this back 3 times over somewhere else in my life. Like I would just have fun with money. It's all energy, you guys. And if you have issues with money, it's always going to stem back to mom and dad. You may think it has to do with like, oh, I'm not like saying the right affirmations. That's a bunch of crap. It has nothing to do with affirmations. Affirmations are just like, okay, let's be real. Like if you don't have what you want in your life, it's not because you're not saying the right affirmations. They can help, but you have to figure out what's in your unconscious. And you have to be able to track and go back and heal some of the relationships with you have with mom and dad, believe it or not. Mom is your first relationship that you ever have in your life, right? And it has to do with your ability to birth new projects, hold the money, hold the things, hold the consistent, because it's intimacy, right, between you and mom, feelings, attunement, your nervous system. And if you don't feel like you can hold money, you always lose money, or money, it starts with mom. And then dad is also a big part of it too, because it's the masculine, it's the ability to have the commitment, the security, and the stability. So that's a deeper conversation. If you want to explore that in a session with me, we can look at that, because if you're stuck with money, or you're stuck with your ability to like jump to your next level, it's not because something's wrong with you. It's because there's unhealed parts of you from your childhood. It goes without fail. I'm certified in constellation work. If you haven't heard of Mark Wolin and Bert Hellinger and all this kind of stuff, your ability to hold money and grow with money has a lot to do with your first relationships with mom and dad. Story for another day. Something to think about. But I want to share with you this this story that just came to me yesterday. I just heard this news yesterday. So if this client winds up listening to this, it'll be kind of fun. My hair's a mess today. Jesus. I woke up this morning. So on a side note, my daughter's passport expired. And so I needed to go to the passport office this morning and get a 1-day passport. I'm picking her passport up at 3. I made this appointment, but it's just been a wild morning. Getting passports and stuff so I can leave tonight for Cancun, to fly out to Cancun. But anyways, I led a retreat with Whitney Arnell last year in Maui. And when we were at this retreat, we all did this exercise. We do a lot of fun stuff, but we did this exercise about what your future self would want for you. So one of the things I always tell my clients is, it's really, if you're not working with your future self, you're missing out on how you can rapidly create your future. And if you're interested in that, like I said, I'm teaching a course. Just put future in the comments and I'll send you the details, because it'll change your life. And it's one of the most amazing courses I teach. I'm certified as a futurist. And so anyways, we do this exercise at the end of the retreat where everybody has to step into their future self. And they have to go around the dinner table and they have to say what it is that their future self is doing. And so I am, for me, living in Boise, Idaho with my significant other and our children. And every summer we go spend at least a month living in a foreign country. This whole thing, right? I would go on, and I describe it to the point where I'm feeling it in my body. I'm really feeling it. Like, what is the most prosperous version of my life? How wildly I can, reach for the stars, expand what I know to be true about my reality. Okay, so we do this. And if you don't know this about me, I have so much faith in what's possible for you, for me. No recession or no recession, I don't care. Like, there's still so much abundance in this world to be had, right? Prosperity is a frequency. And so anyways, we go around. One of the gals, she really wanted to meet somebody special. And our whole retreat was about superabundance. It's about prosperity. And we're actually leading this retreat again in November this year at Lemuria, same place, because we had such wild results. So check this out, you guys. I could not believe this. So her whole thing was she felt like she kept getting looked over by men, and she really wanted to have her significant other or be with her significant other. So when she's describing her reality, she's like, I am with this amazing man and he loves me and he adores me and and we're starting our, we have our life together and all these things. And she was talking about some other stuff too. So that was in November of last year. I talked to one of my other clients so all these girls became like soul besties, who went to the retreat as well. And she, just went out to lunch with her, and she's like, Dawn, you won't believe this. I'm like, what? She's like, so-and-so, I'm not going to reveal her name. Well, I can say it. It's Emily, is getting married. And her honeymoon is the same week that you're leading the retreat in Maui this year in November. And I was like, wait, what? So not only did she meet her partner and is getting married, bought a house, she literally changed her life by stepping into the ability not only to see her future self, but to claim her prosperity, to claim it, and to start doing things that were aligned with that, to take the leaps, to do the things, to take the risk that would be getting her closer to her vision. So I was so freaking excited for her yesterday when I heard this news. If you listen to this, Emily, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. But it's just a testimonial to the power, you guys, of believing in, like, understanding how prosperous you are and being willing to make the changes and step into the frequency of your future self. And not fight for your limitations, but really move towards your dreams. A few ways that I want to help you fast track this is to first, just if you haven't thought about like what your biggest dream is right now, like think about your biggest dream, like write it out in present tense, and then ask yourself, like, who do I need to be right now? What do I need to feel in order to start activating this? Pick one feeling and start practicing being in that feeling every single day for at least 21 days. Really what is because prosperity is not just like, it's about embodiment. It's about embodying this future version of yourself and the feeling of it. Okay, so that's the first thing. And if you need help with that, take my Futuring course, hands down. Second thing, stop fighting for your limitations. I meet so many people that are like, I want to change my life, I want to do this, and I say, well, okay, then why don't you try this thing? Or why don't you get out of that job that you hate, or that soul-sucking relationship, or cut out the friends that are like not working for you in your life? Oh, but I don't know if I can do that, and what would happen to me? And take a stand for yourself. Have the confidence. Futuring's for the brave, I'm going to be honest. Because you do have to let go sometimes of certain things that aren't working for you so you can get into soul alignment. And that way, then you're moving towards. So think about what your biggest limitation is right now. What is the biggest limitation? If you think about, after you've written your paragraph and what you want to be for your, who your future self is, your most prosperous future self, what she has or what she's doing, how she wants to feel, then ask yourself this next question. What is the biggest limitation I have that is blocking me? So it's like a belief, or maybe there's actually something in your external environment that's keeping you from having this thing. Then ask yourself, divine, God, source, what do I need to do in order to start moving this? How do I release this? How do I let this go if it feels difficult for you? Maybe it's something really easy where you're like, God, I keep doing this thing, I keep thinking this way. Okay, I can shift that. Maybe it's a bigger thing for you. You always have support. You can work with me and I'll help you with it. My clients are moving through some massive, massive, massive things right now that are really, really helping them to quantum leap into to new things, really big things. Hey, Letty. So once you've written out your prosperous self in the present moment and you figure out that limitation, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to start practicing gratitude. Gratitude is the fastest way to get more prosperous. If you're always living in lack, if you're always like, well, I don't have this, really pay attention to how you describe and verbalize your reality. If you're always telling your friends, oh, I can't do this because I don't have I'm on a budget, or I can't buy that for myself right now, or I can never do that because I don't have the means. Like, stop describing all your limitations. Please start speaking the reality that you want. So when my daughters say to me, because my daughters want something all the freaking time, I swear to God, these girls are like little divas who want new wardrobes every single day. I'm like, girls, mommy needs some clothes too, okay? I'm wearing a freaking white t-shirt today. That's where I'm at. I'm just kidding. But when my girls are like, mommy, can you get me this thing? I could say to them, mommy's on a budget. I can't buy that for you. Like, money doesn't grow on trees. Da-da-da. Actually, I would never say that. It sounds ridiculous. But what I would say is if I really cannot at that moment, if I'm choosing not to buy that because maybe I don't have the extra funds to do that, you know what I would say is, at this time, mommy's choosing not to get that for you. Mommy's using her money in other ways right now. It's not negative. It's not lack. It's real. I'm not lying to them. But I'm not being like, oh, I'm like some, person that I can't afford that, or da-da. You could afford it if you really wanted to. I could afford to get the things. If I really wanted to work and figure out a way to do it, I would. I'm just choosing right now. So be careful how you describe your reality. If you're a prosperous being, you're not going to be, if you say things that are corroborating and really keeping you in lack, be mindful of that. Be really mindful. So be grateful. Do a gratitude journal if you have to every night of what's going right for you. And remember how rich in your life you are. Because to me, richness, like, I'm rich in love. Like, I'm rich in experience. I'm rich in so many ways right now. And then extra bonus points. One of my former coaches, Jolie Dawn, she always this is her thing, but I do this. I never called it this, but she coined this term, take yourself on a prosperity date. I take myself on prosperity vacations. But go have fun. Like, take yourself, go do something amazing. Go take yourself. I love dating myself. Like, I'll take myself on a date to, like, go have my favorite meal, and then I'll, like, go maybe buy myself something that I've been wanting, or I just go somewhere gorgeous and beautiful, whatever, like, makes me feel really rich inside. And it's not about having to have the thing. It might just be being in the energy. Like, I have this favorite hotel that I absolutely adore in San Diego. It's in Del Mar. It's called L'Auberge. I freaking love it. Whenever I'm there, I feel luxurious, and I buy myself a nice drink, and I, like, go sit and watch the sunset. Like, whatever you need to do, but get your prosperity flowing. Get in the energy of it. So I gave you a lot of stuff that you can do to really shift. And going back to my story about Emily, that can be possible for you too. She was willing to make the changes. She invested in herself and came to our retreat. She changed her life. She stepped into the next version of herself. You can do all these things too in whatever way you see possible. Couple announcements. If you want to experience super abundance, you can come to our retreat in Maui in November. So there's that. We have our retreat in San Diego, which is August 25th through the 28th. It's next month. That's going to be an incredible experience. There's sacred medicine. There's all sorts of good things happening there. And if you want to get your futuring on, message me, because I'm going to be enrolling that class, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. All my students that take futuring always say, hands down, it's one of the number one things that have changed their life. I personally, my life shifted when I got certified in futuring back in 2020, because for me, when I started to take an inventory of the big areas of my life and started looking at the energy I was cultivating in each area of my life, I mean, even if you just do it from a prosperity or lack consciousness, I started to see that if I continued staying in certain areas of my life, I wasn't going to get to where I wanted to go. And so when you start to see things like that, and there's so many things I teach in futuring that, like, really, like, can quantum leap you. it's incredible. So message me for that. And last but not least, you can always do a clarity call with me, 30 minutes, just to kind of hang out. We can kind of figure out what your needs are and where you want to go. And we can see if we would be a fit for working together. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. Thanks for tuning into the Embodied Oracle Show. And I will see you next week. On the flip side, after I get back from Tulum, I'll be even more tan and even more in my prosperity and love. I'm just teasing. But I will be, because that's what life is all about, right? Vacations and feeding our soul. Love you guys.